Anna Soubry got called a Nazi, and she really doesn't like it. Anna Soubry, the woman who wants to overturn the democratic decision we made in 2016 and ignore the will of the people, is all upset. God bless her. Because during Sky News interviews recently, she and other MPs have been shouted at in the streets and had their interviews interrupted by loud cheering and chanting. Now, I'm not sure this is the right tactic, especially when Brexiteers like Andrea Jenkins were doing interviews with Sky News and were being shouted down by pro-Brexit activists. But there is something kind of funny about this situation, because during an interview, Soubry got a taste of her own medicine when people started chanting, "Soubry is a Nazi."
That's the other thing that has now got to happen, is we have to be absolutely... I do object to being called a Nazi, actually.
Right. Well, apologies to you if you're offended by what you're listening to.
I just think this is astonishing. This is what has happened to our country.
She managed to do the interview just fine while they were shouting Soubry is a liar because, well, she's a liar, she knows she's a liar, and she knows that other people know that she knows she's a liar. So, no issue. But when she got called a Nazi, that's when she really, really objected to it, to the point where she stopped the interview and said that she objected to it. And while, as I say, I'm not always a fan of using the tactics of the left, I think this made a really important point, because for decades, innocent, decent people have been branded as racists and Nazis by the politicians, and it really is hurtful. It really does damage people's reputations and affect their lives quite significantly. Calling people Nazis when they quite clearly are not Nazis not only disenfranchises them, but it also takes them away from the political system completely. It brushes them aside, and all of their concerns are completely ignored, and it shows that the politicians just don't care about them. Why would they care when all the politicians do is call them a Nazi whenever they tell them what their problems are? And what's happening now with Anna Soubry shows the total double standards of our modern politicians. It's fine for them to lie and claim that people are Nazis, but if you do it back to them, well, that's a hate crime. That's literally what she wants it to be, because now Anna Soubry and 50 other MPs have written a letter to the Met Police Chief over being called Nazis and being intimidated in the street. Okay, yes, people should be free to go about their lives without being harassed. We should all be free to go about our lives as normal, but at the end of the day, she is a public figure, and I don't think these politicians have even considered what they do to us, the regular people. We are harassed in the street regularly. We are the ones that have to keep our addresses secret. The far left physically attack us. I've seen a man bottled and an ambulance called to a pub in London because he was spotted by a member of Antifa. I've seen an old woman punched square in the face by a member of Antifa back when I was in Liverpool. It's really terrible stuff, and it's done by far left hate groups that are supported by the politicians. The way I see it, these angry, violent mobs are just working for the politicians, so the politicians don't have to get their hands dirty. So if Anna Soubry is upset about being shouted at in the street and called a Nazi, then she's not going to get any sympathy from me at all. Anna Soubry is a raging hypocrite, and she frankly brought all this on herself, did she not? She was the one who falsely accused people protesting outside Parliament, whatever you think of those guys. They're not Nazis, but she falsely accused them of supporting Hitler. Seriously, it was a downright lie. Absolute lie, and now it's coming back to bite her in the arse. She also referred to Brexiteers in Parliament as far-right. I mean, really? Far-right in Parliament? This woman lives in a different reality to the rest of the country. She clearly has no idea about the concerns of regular British people who are struggling to get by and having their families torn apart by the crimes that come with state-sponsored multiculturalism and mass migration from the third world. She simply doesn't care. So you know what? I actually hope she and those 50 MPs succeed. I hope that falsely calling people a Nazi does become a hate crime. Because you know what will happen? We can get this woman locked up, along with all her far-left minions who've been lying about people and destroying people's lives for decades. We're not funded by the government, we don't have big sponsors, and we certainly don't have massive donors. If you'd like to help support our work, please go to rebeldonations.com/thebuck.